threshold. A lot of you guys are aware. But I'm going to go through the usual spiel. So imagine you're in a room, your own bedroom, and you look out the window, as you always do, and then you see something that's never been there before, a door, just black, just sitting there, and you just, this doesn't make any sense, no, that's just bad.
So just
Yeah. Oh, okay. What was I? And then you look out the window, you see where does this door lead? It looks like it goes out in space. You open the door and you see a dark hallway. You grab a flashlight, you kind of take a step in, the door closes behind you, and you see something crawling at the other end. So, the game pretty much tries to create a pit in your stomach. The sense of unheimlich, which is pretty much the mundane becoming strange. A door isn't that odd, but a door appearing out of nowhere is very off-putting. The same can be said for flickering lights and the other horror tropes. And this game tries to bring horror from the mind of the main character, who is Hannah. We have a core apartment gameplay, which is like a tutorial. You collect supplies, flashlights, batteries, and things like that in these areas. There's music for the players to kind of get into it. There's a puzzle loop where you go through the maze itself, trying to find out how to escape each room you find yourself in. So there'll be a little story, and then you'll read the story. Oh, that's a neat thing. Oh, wait, this relates to this image that I just found next to a door. I guess that's the way I should go. And then the maze themselves, which has a monster trying to kill you the whole time. And if you make mistakes, like picking the wrong door, it will find you. So do not make too much sound, do not make mistakes. Here's some art that depicts the monster, the main character, kind of some of the inspiration that we had. And continuing it on, here's the contrast between maze and apartments. It's kind of warm colors versus dark and dreary. And obviously dreamlike. So I want to talk about like the bugs that we had and things. We're missing art. So we wanted to complete a lot of the art issues that we had, spatial issues where ceiling was too low, UI on the monster, making sure that it shows how much time it has left before it's stunned, because that's the only way to keep it away from you, and VR physics where doors and things would act weird. So there was also a frame rate issue near the lagging at the end, and structure of the tutorial level. Also lights were flickering, which they shouldn't do. Final product is, we managed to get most of this monster adjustments completed. Monster gain speed over time, UI stun, shadow effects so that you could actually see the monster coming, sound effects so that you could hear it coming, and some interesting, like, there's a red outline just to make sure that the player knows which direction to run away from. We got a lot of the doorways, posters, and art done, and the textures, and the tutorial was completed for the first section. If we were to continue, pretty much, actually just keep going. If we were to continue, we would want to fix a tutorial to help with the player dealing with a monster, because right now we're going to have to give them a little bit of insight into that, because it's kind of, they might not know that the flashlight will do damage to the monster, or at least stun it, and they might not know that rocks will distract it. So that's kind of one area, and we need to get one more texture for one more room, and that's pretty much it, except for a toolbox. Of course, we're going to love to make the AI a little bit more interactive, kind of mess around with certain patterns. Make sure it doesn't do anything weird, because you always find something new with AI. So those kind of are the main features, and I'm going to put up the website that we have. And I'm going to ask Alex to go through a quick demo. So we have music. So I'm going to kind of go for a play-by-play. So if there isn't a reflection in the me it's kind of hard to see, but the poster has pretty much instruction on how to play the game. So each of these posters, as you go closer to them, you will find new information. Okay, let's step up. So you can interact with objects like drawers and things. That would be like finding supplies. You have a phone UI, so clicking on that. So yeah, going through those things, and then you have your flashlight, instructions on how to use it. Hopefully, that'll go. And then all of a sudden, there's a door next to a window. It's kind of difficult to look out the window though. And then of course we load into the next level. So this takes time because demo. But yeah. I guess there we go. So here's the one level area that we need to texture, and the toolbox we need to texture. That's about it. And we have those coming in today. So. Well. So here's the little piece of story that you'll find. And of course this room only has one door, so you really most likely won't get lost, but you never know. So. And so each room is randomly picked, so we have like a deck of rooms. And each time a player goes through, it will randomly change them up, and they'll also change the way which doors are correct. And Alex happens to know which pictures correspond, but with the correct path. But I don't know. So then, of course, that means you won't get lost most likely. But however, I kind of want to show off the monster quickly, so we might want to try it. Yeah. So, I think the easiest way though would, so yeah. And he picked the wrong way, so that actually gets its attention more. Maybe. You can try. I don't think there's enough room there, though, to escape. There. And just keep going backwards. And so, pretty much, he's going to try, I would suggest trying to hide behind an object and maybe throwing a rock. And you see that orange? That means he's immune to stun right now. I think he saw it. So, but if you pretty much, what happens usually if you want to mess around a bit more, you can try and hook the monster around other objects, and that usually gives you a better chance. I don't know if we want to get to the end, but we do have an ending now. But we kind of wanted to show off the AI changes. So there's also a feature where if you were to mess around, we found that so the monster is set speed, so we found that the monster would try and people would try and mess around with the monster, because if they got in a perfect circle, it couldn't catch them. So we kind of made a change where the longer you're within a certain range, the faster the monster gets, just slightly. And so if you're goofing around, it will kill you. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
So in the interest of time, why don't we go ahead and end the presentation there and allow you to take questions.
Okay.
All right. Nice job.
Question.
Yes. I noticed that Alex was doing an interesting walking mechanic and also,
Yeah.
there were other VR tropes that were unusual in your game. Specifically, the flashlight's very common, cell phone mechanic not so common. Can you please talk a little bit about those mechanics?
So, flashlight, I'll talk a little bit about just quickly, even though it's common. We decided to make the button that is usually for menu, the activation switch, because it just felt good. It felt like it was an actual flashlight in your hand, so that was an interesting choice that we made. For the UI on the phone, we pretty much decided that this main character is in the modern world. She would probably have her phone on her, so we thought it was a unique, slightly unique. I've seen it done a few times actually, especially after this. People have shown me a lot of examples where you use a cell phone to interact with the system of the game. It was also one thing we have implemented with that, which we do might be difficult, is making sure that all those little stories that you found would be documented in there. That is kind of a secondary feature that we want, but I would make that like a C priority compared to the other to like the texture and stuff like that. It's usually used to restart the level, quit out. It also, I wanted to give players a way out of the game if they're feeling a little bit stressed, so that was kind of the idea of the UI. Was there another question in there other than the phone?
Talk to us about the walking mechanic.
Oh yes, the walking mechanic.
Why you chose it and why it was so important.
So we started off just having the D-pad move the character through the world, and some people liked it, but it kind of made people dizzy. I think it would be immediate stops and starts, which is important to VR because slow down just makes people even worse. But we found that giving it some motion, at least giving the player some sense of movement, helped at least. They can also, if the setup's good, they can use their own feet a little bit, as long as they don't go out of the boundaries. And it definitely is much better than teleportation. I find that would kill all tension for me in a horror game.
Okay.
Any other questions?
With the starting room,
Yeah.
do you have any plans on keeping them there longer so that way they have more time to notice that there's not a door there?
Yeah. So if we were to, trying to get, honestly, we're taking into consideration like a lot of people playing the game. Pretty much what we would do to elongate that would be, we have a bunch of audio cues from an actress, and we would attach those to objects, and as you interact with these objects, you'd hear dialogue. So you do through the tutorial, and then you're wandering around, oh, what else can I do in this room? Oh, I click on the bed. The character says, I'm very tired. Or should they click on a poster and say, I love this band, it's my favorite thing. And maybe they interact with a few items, and then the door shows up after interacting with 3+ items.
Maybe an audio cue where, since you have those already, where if you're looking towards that corner, you could say something like, oh, I should put a poster over there. So that way it draws a little bit more attention to blank spot.
Yeah. There's also one, we do have a line recorded where that wasn't there, so
Yeah.
we might be on the nose, but I think it's important that if we do have a voice-acted character, that they recognize that this isn't right. So, yeah.
One piece of feedback that I do want to make sure that your team addresses before showcase, please use the Steam VR Fade to Black, Fade from Black call. It is a script that you attach to the camera, and once you get to the point where you're triggering a level load, it will very, very smoothly ramp to complete blackness, and then as the level fades up, it will ramp up from blackness. You can actually specify the amount of time that the duration is. It will make the level load way more polished.
Okay.
So, how far or how much do you plan on developing this after demo day, and also how can we support you in that?
So honestly, I really like the idea. I would say that we'd have to work a lot more on some back end stuff, just because I think right now it works for the size it is, but I think it would need some efficiency tests, especially if we would make bigger levels, add more environmental features. Support would be pretty much, we do have a website, and checking that out, mostly the Twitter feed, telling people to give us money, so that'd be great. I would say that if I was to restart this, we would focus more on the, so there's an art style that we had originally that kind of had to be put aside, which was a little bit more drawn looking. It was kind of very more Life is Strange, or even not the extreme of Borderlands, but definitely drawn looking, which I thought was useful in VR. Most people go for realism. I wanted to see what would happen if we went for a lot more unrealistic look, especially for the maze, to make it less real, make it more dreamlike. So.